BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello and happy Halloween and radical Diwali. I couldn't think of one that would work for that. Help, I'm drowning. Dan is not here this week. It is I, Coleman, your host for BRB UK, episode 610. Hi! And this is our Halloween edition. Why is it our Halloween edition? Because we're recording on Halloween and we're live streaming on Halloween. It's not going to make much sense when the actual episode comes out and it's November. But for this day, Halloween. And to kick off festivities, joining as always is one Tim.
Hello.
And joining us from the VRB podcast is Kev.
Who are you, right, my boys?
And from the formerly on hiatus, who knows, Comics Inc., but more importantly from the gaming cupboard, we've got Rik.
Screonk, mother lovers.
I don't even know what that means.
It's the noise Godzilla makes. Come on, get with it.
That is not the noise Godzilla makes.
That is
goes
not a Godzilla noise.
Screonk like that.
I don't know if I have a Godzilla noise. I do not have a Godzilla
On
noise.
the
You're
soundboard.
safe.
Amateur.
That's something you need to add to the soundboard for Rick's benefit in future.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take off my face hugger.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yes, for the benefit of those that are just on the audio, Rik is dressed as Godzilla. Tim is dressed as a victim of a face hugger and a chest burster, with a very phallic-looking chest burster coming out of him.
My giant penis chest
I've got a
burster.
T-shirt for my favorite horror film, Stab. And Kev is dressed as a very well presented adult man.
Oh, as a rugby
He's
player.
dressed as
Oh,
the
rugger's
rugby
top.
English rugby team.
that's pretty scary. Rugby fan.
Do that before you kick. Put your hands together like a little prayer motion.
Yes, the Johnny
Yeah.
Wilkinson special.
Oh, Johnny Wilco. All right. Hey, guys. Who's ready to talk about some gosh darn video games? Because we've all got new stuff to talk about. Tim's not ready, so he'll go last. We've got lots of stuff to talk about. We've all been playing new things. So let's start with the one that I'm probably the most excited about. Mr. Kev. You've been playing, I dread to say, you've been playing a VR game, which we don't allow on this podcast. They are illegal, as outlawed by one Dr. Destiny Dan Gibbo.
Yeah, we had to
But
create our own
he's not here.
podcast to do so.
Yeah, he's walked out in
Dead.
protest, and there's not been a VRB for a while. So let's have you talking about Batman
This is true.
Arkham Shadow.
But as everyone knows, in the VR space in gaming, an interesting thing happens about once a year.
That
Last
frequently.
Last year, we might even have a couple this year, I'll have you
Yeah.
know. This being one of them. Batman Arkham Shadow. Controversially, a new Arkham game that has come out for virtual reality headsets exclusively even further on Meta headsets, on the Quest 3 and Quest 3S, which of course is the new one. And if you buy a brand new headset, you get this packaged in with it until I want to say sometime in February or something. So that's a good thing. The same deal existed with Asgard's Wrath 2 last year, which this is a better game than that. I'll have
really?
you know. I think so, but I'm not one of those mad people that would have given Asgard's Wrath a 10 out of 10 like IGN did. Yeah, so a new Arkham game. Obviously, people are upset that there's a new Arkham game finally, and A, Rocksteady didn't make it, and B, it's in VR exclusively. But I'll tell you for something, boys. They have managed to somehow take the Arkham feel, themes, looks, and most importantly, controls and mechanics, and translate it way more effectively into a VR headset than I think any game has any right to do. It's come out, I want to say this is very easily comparable to last year's Assassin's Creed Nexus, which was also, a VR exclusive game. And managed to translate the Assassin's Creed experience very perfectly into a VR situation. I've got some notes here. I want to say that according to the achievements, the very first achievement that everyone gets has been unlocked. This is a cool thing that the Meta app does. It tells you how many people have unlocked each achievement. About just over 90,000 times, getting towards 100k at this point. So I don't think this game is selling gangbusters. as you might expect, being a VR game. But that's not to say that it's a bad game. I actually really like it. However, much like with Assassin's Creed last year, there are bugs everywhere. It's a really buggy experience. I thought it was rats. Like the entire headset had a memory leak at least 3 times, which reset the entire thing, like the entire operating system, not just the game. Once you get past that, honestly, like people say, like, oh, Final Fantasy 14, you got to play it for 30 hours before it really starts to get good. You got to get through all the bugs in this game before it really starts to get good. But once you are through it, good lord, does it look and feel like an Arkham game. Everything is perfectly translated across. You've got your, as you can see in the video here, for those watching the video, you've got your perfectly fluid combat. You're jumping from like all over the room, left and right. It never feels motion sickness inducing, or at least not to me. You are like, I'm going to try to describe the controls as best I can, but for those who aren't really familiar with VR games in general, it's going to sound a little bit like odd wordage. You're punching people. You have markers on the screen, directional control, so you are directionally punching people. You are hitting them in specific areas when it gives little circles on the screen. You are, in order to counter, obviously on a controller, that'd just be the Y or the triangle button. Now it is giving you a little indicator on either side of your view, and it'll so you know which way it's coming from. You have to fling your hand out. So you want to make sure you've got some space around you when you play this game, because flinging your hand out happens a lot. And then you will just instantly turn to that person, counter them, and continue your combo. You can get up some pretty high combos, as, again, you get in the normal Arkham games, and yeah, really good translation across. Prologue takes place in Gotham City, but you're not there for very long. As I say, it's just a prologue up to the title card. And it's not like an open city. You're very much running through a kind of corridor shooter-esque experience there, where you're just going through the story beats to get to the main part of the game, which is Blackgate Prison. And once you're in there, it's mostly a complete carbon copy of Arkham Asylum, the first Arkham game. So it's not an open world per se, but you're in big open zones going through kind of Metroidvania linkages between them. And always, as with any good Metroid game, seeing things that you're like, oh yeah, one of them, okay, I'll get the gadget for that later and come back to it at a later time. So secrets galore. No Riddler this time. That was interesting. I can't remember if Origins had Riddler stuff in it. It must have done. But this one does not have any sign of the Riddler whatsoever. It's all to do with this fella called the Rat King. You don't know who he is. All you know is that he's arranging for this day of wrath to occur. And it's going to happen in, I think, a week from the start of the game. And then the next week is you playing out a day-by-day, almost Persona-like experience, where during the day you are disguised as a prisoner who has been arrested for burning the Batman symbol. And they put you in jail, and you're playing, and you're just going around talking to inmates, getting details and stuff, doing some sort of investigations that you can do without gadgetry and fighting and whatnot. And then come nighttime, you sneak out your cell, go into an impromptu bat cave that apparently Alfred has managed to set up for you just off the side of the island.
He's very good at that, isn't he?
And then you sneak back into the prison, and you run around doing Batman stuff, a la Arkham Asylum. Some really good characters in there. Voice acting is top-notch, really well done. All your world-building notes, radio signals, and general Easter eggs are in there, as you would expect from one of these Batman games. The story is really good. I really enjoyed it a lot, even though there is a retcon that might actually break the law in terms of how retcon-y it is. Not just in terms of the Arkham series, but Batman stories in general. It really threw me off how they introduce it really early on. I won't spoil it here, but they introduce it really early on. And I just went, I had to double take and be like, okay, we're doing, that's the way this, okay, we're doing that now. And unfortunately, it does kind of spoil what the story is working towards as well, because it's such a blatant retcon that you know it's going to have to lead somewhere. And inevitably it does.
It will lead to more VR games, I'm sure.
Yeah, the graphics, for those who are bothered, are really good for a Quest game. You know, it's not up to PC, PS5 standards, but you wouldn't expect it to be. It's not as powerful
there, but yeah.
a thing. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's I I'm going to write up a review. I think I'm leaning towards an 8 out of 10 at the moment, but we will see how that goes when I have time to reflect on it. I've finished the game already. I've gone back, I've done most of the secrets. And yeah, really can't recommend it enough. If you are in the MetaQuest verse, it is really, really good. But be aware that bugs everywhere. That's yeah, everywhere. It's like the Amazon rainforest in there. Yeah. So, any questions?
Well, I wanted to say when I was gathering the video for the live show, well, for the video version of this, when I was trying to get footage, I did see the I saw a lot of complaints about the combat, but not from people that have played it, but people that are watching it, because Batman appears to like just instantly transport in between bad guys. It's like, have you not played an Arkham game? That's what he does. Punch, 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 fly across the room, punch, punch, punch. It just looks a bit jarring when you're doing it in first person.
Yeah,
but then when I got to the, and I was like, yeah, it looks fun, but I'm not really getting Arkham vibes from it. But then when I saw the sneaking around, hiding on the gargoyles and stuff, I was like, oh no, this is exactly it. This is Arkham in first person now. I totally see that.
The gargoyles, man, like the Predator stuff in this game is great. You be up on the gargoyles, just like in the Arkham games. You'll be able to like dangle upside down from them, reach down, grab someone, pull them up, lay them out, move on to the next gargoyle with your zip line. It's bloody brilliant. They've translated it so well.
But do you get the sounds of Bender in the background as a henchman going, "Where's the bat? It's the bat. Where's he gone?"
I mean, yes, you do. And you also get all of the you get all of the fun mechanics that like change those encounters up as well. So if you remember through all of the 3 previous games, as you progress through, it gets harder and harder to do the sneaking around and the stealth stuff, because people will get like the goggles that can see up on the gargoyles, and one of them's walking around with a jammer on the back, and that's all in this game. It really is an Arkham game through and through, just translated into a first-person view. And
so how does Batman move? Does he move like a first-person game, or does it do that VR thing where you kind of point at the floor and...
You can do either. There's, much like with Assassin's Creed last year, there's an incredible amount of comfort, customability settings. So you can choose either. You can do the teleport. I do smooth movement because that's what I'm comfortable with. But I also don't do smooth turning. I know Tim's a big fan of smooth turning as well. But that really does make my brain go wobbly. So I like a 30-degree snap turn, which is what I had it set to.
Tim's a fan of Rise, so there's no accounting for taste.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, but there's tons of comfort options. You can turn the vignettes on and off. The vignettes, for those who are unfamiliar with the parlance, is like as you turn or move around, the edges of the screen will darken out so that I don't know, it helps people apparently. It always just annoys me.
One of the few things that makes me sick in VR.
Yeah, and that's they're trying to
really
stop
weird.
you feeling
Helps
that way.
Other people, and it really doesn't with me.
It doesn't make me feel sick. It just makes me viscerally angry that they're taking away like some of the experience.
Yeah. I have a question, Mr. Kev.
Yeah, go for it.
Talk to me about fingers. Now, that's not really a question, so I'll rephrase it as a question. But I saw Nathy VR, who is a big kind of VR YouTuber, post a video on social media about the fingers in Batman and them being very well realized for a VR game. Is that the case?
Isn't it just like Tim? To be like, what's the smallest, most like useless bit of information about this game? Can we just talk
how
about 15
pointy
minutes
the bat is?
Yeah.
I'll move on to that. Actually, Tim, I'll come back to your question in a minute. Let me just tell you, one of the greatest things about this game is when you do your cape thing so that you're flying from like across the distance.
Yeah.
From a high platform to a low platform.
You said cake thing.
Do your cake thing.
The Batman birthday cake.
So you're reaching down either side of you. You're reaching down either side of you and you pull your cape up like in a T shape. And then you'll suddenly launch yourself off, right? And what's really cool about it is it doesn't even matter where the light sources are because it just wants to show you the shadow of Batman where you're approaching. And you get like the full ears pointing up and the cape out, and it just looks badass and it's fun.
Nice.
Yes, the fingers are great. It's not consistent, I'll say that much. But what Tim's getting at is that you can rub your fingers across the walls, and if there's a crack in the wall, like a finger will go into it and then come back out again. And it just adds to the immersion a little bit. I know one reviewer I watched one review the guy was saying, like, I was just there for like 15 minutes, just like rubbing my fingers against the wall.
Just
And I'm not
touching
sure if
the
that
fuzzy
reflects
walls.
on the game or the person that was doing it, but yeah, it is interesting that they've managed to get so idiosyncratic with their fingers.
Can you rub your fingers on the henchmen's faces when you got them pinned
You
against the
can,
wall?
actually.
Like,
No,
like
yeah.
a gentle caress.
I didn't manage
Seductively
to
touch
get it to
them.
the point where it was like going up nostrils or whatever, but it does like kind of deform around their
Your
cheeks.
finger
and
in his
things.
mouth.
It really
It's the,
upset me, actually. One of my favourite things to do in a VR game, which says a lot more about my immaturity than it does other things, is when I'm having a really serious conversation with an NPC, I like to just reach out and grab their face and sort of do this. Or like stick my fingers up their nose. You can't really do it so much. And that's one of my big downsides of this game, is that it kind of puts a block between you and the NPC of about 3 feet. So no matter how close you try and move yourself in space, it forces you back.
Is that why it's only getting an 8 out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, basically, yeah. That,
Excellent.
the fact that it crashed my headset 3 times.
Pensive Games asks, is this a continuation of the Batman VR demo a few years ago? Because I remember the fingers being good for the piano. And that wasn't a demo. That was a real game. That was Batman
Yeah.
Arkham.
Batman
A
Arkham.
fully
which
grown
is,
up
yeah.
game.
That was meant to be the in-between call for Arkham City and Arkham Knight. And I think this one's
Yeah.
a prequel to all that, isn't it?
This is a sequel to Origins, prequel to Asylum, in terms
Gotcha.
of the timeline.
Okay.
So
Is it
canonically,
Troy
not
Baker
carrying on from that VR game.
Is it made by Montreal?
No, this is
No.
made by
Camouflage.
Camouflage,
Camouflage.
who
From Iron Man
previously
VR.
did the Iron Man VR game. Yeah,
right,
Yeah.
okay.
And then were bought
They
by
tread all
Meta,
over you.
unfortunately, for Sony.
hence
And
the
for
exclusivity.
People
Yeah.
of
That's the
PSVR2.
one. So that I didn't mind. I thought it was quite funny to wind Tim up and go, you can't play because it's on PSVR 2. And I also have a PSVR 2 because some pillock had been hyping it up for so long. And I've got the
Shouldn't
PC
listen to me.
adapter, so I was like, ha ha ha! I can play it on my PSVR 2 with my PC adapter. What? It's locked out unless you've got an Oculus Quest 3 or an Oculus Meta 3 or 3S or whatever it is.
MetaQuest 3
Ugh,
and 3S.
that's
yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
But if you have got one, which let's face it, well, actually, it's not. I was going to say it's a niche part of a niche market, but I guess it's the biggest part of that niche market now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They've done.
I'm
I
either
have
going
two
to
more
Cave.
questions. Oh, sorry, go on.
I'm either going to Cave and swap and get rid of one headset and pick up a new one, or someone's going to hack it and I'm going to be able to play Batman on a PSVR 2.
Be interesting if you could.
Two little questions before we move on.
Yep.
One, you said that, and this is one thing I couldn't interrupt on when you were doing it, but you said that Batman was disguised in prison. Like, did they not just recognize him as Bruce Wayne, or have they disguised him in a better way than that?
No, he's
Like-
he's got a full blown face mask that you've got to equip every time.
It's got one
Right.
of those moustaches with the
things.
nose and the glasses.
Not sure they get away with that in prison, but
One of the funnest things about it actually is when you look down at your arms. As with every one of these games on the
Yeah.
Quest, the arms look better than every single other part of the game. And he's got like these full like sleeve tattoos, which I really appreciated. It looked really good.
Cool.
Cool.
All right. How
also,
much is
just
that?
one other quick. Yeah, I was going to say, price wise, is it a bit expensive for
No.
what you get in the game, or is that okay? I
No,
wonder if
it's
they
free with a
overpriced
headset,
it to.
Tim.
Yes, but I wonder if they overpriced it to compensate for that.
No,
based on,
$38.99 I think is dead
Yeah.
on. Like
Yeah,
I think
okay.
40 quid is exactly right for what this is. People might disagree, but this took me 9-10 hours to get through the campaign, and I've gone back afterwards to do all of the bonus stuff, and I've not even touched all of the challenges and things.
So
I
the
built
story's
into it.
only a little bit shorter than Arkham Asylum then.
Yeah, I mean, it really once you're in
Ooh, it's
Blackgate,
just
it
full
really
game.
does feel like Arkham Asylum.
Nice.
You are in a prison facility, and there are wings of it, different wings, and each one is like locked off by
Bat
a
wings.
different
Batman.
yeah, bat wings of it. And each one is locked off by a different like mechanic that you need to pick up by beating a certain section. And yeah, as I say, it is 100% just an Arkham Asylum mapping
Okay.
of the formula across. It's really good. Not as many like well-known Batman villains in it because it's a prequel, and they try to play that a little bit. They try to put all of the focus on the main villain. There's a lot of what's his name, Marcone in it, Marconi.
Falcone.
Falcone. That's the one. Brilliant thing about that, actually.
He did the Amadeus soundtrack.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The I really appreciate this because you know how they've like every different Batman story comes out and Falcone or Falcone, like no one's ever decided what the pronunciation of his name is. And
in some films they use both.
Yeah. But there's like a guard in this who says his name is Falcone in front of him, and he just goes ballistic at him and just lays into him. It's like, my name's Falcone. I don't know why anyone gets it wrong.
Falcone, like Ragatoni.
It's the little things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on.
One thing I want to say before we finish, though. Every time I played this game, like, I'd get an hour and 20 minutes in from a full headset charge, and my battery would be decimated at the end of that. Like, to the point of the headset switching off. So it really eats power for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right, let's move on to another game, another recent one
I thought
as well.
it was Godzilla that ate power for breakfast, but hey.
He spits it out again.
Well, he's here. Let's ask him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick.
That was
no response.
I didn't hear what you were saying.
That's okay. Let's move on to the man called Rick. We're going to talk about Ys X Nordics.
Ys X Nordics, yeah.
Yeezy X Nordics.
Well, Ys X Nordics, as the name suggests, is the 17th in the series, not including ports and remasters. And it's the 4th game in the continuity, which picks up after the events of Ys 2. So, nice. We're in the Fast and Furious timeline at this point.
Oh, is this a JRPG by chance?
It is, yes. You play as a young adventurer called Adol Kristin, who, along with his friend Dogi, is on a ship headed toward the land of Selseta, where they're soon set upon by pirate Vikings. Believing he isn't a threat, the pirates take him to their hometown of Bolter, where through some magic shenanigans, he ends up becoming partnered with Kaja Bolter, the princess of this particular band of Viking ship bros. And he ends up helping them in their war against the Griga, a magical race of creatures that can only be killed with mana, a power only a few in the north can wield. Gameplay split between land and sea, and the majority is thankfully on the land, because exploration's quite fun. Adol moves quite quickly. It's a very fast-paced adventure game. You're like just real-time action, Zelda-ish, I guess. And he has several mana items to help him traverse. I'm about a quarter of the way through, and so far he's got like a hookshot thing that he can use on trees to swing across ravines. And I've just got like a hoverboard made of magic, which I can use to get over.
A hoverboard made of magic?
A hoverboard made of magic. This game's wild, man. It's awesome.
I like it.
You use it to get across like water and stuff without falling into it, which is nice. As you explore, your map fills out, so it's blank at first and it fills in on its way. You've got a percentage to fill out, probably for an achievement. It's usually the way it is. But thankfully, well, I say thankfully, depending on how you like it, everything is marked out on the map. So your objectives marked out, side quests are marked out, treasure chests are marked out if you're in the vicinity and kind of activate where they are. So it's pretty difficult to miss anything. There's also things called hewn stones, which are basically checkpoints, which you use to... Look, if you're watching the video, that was the magical surfboard. You got these things called hewn stones, which are basically checkpoints, and they're used to recover your health. But then they're also linked all over the world, so you can fast travel between them, which is really, really nice, because it makes exploration easy, and more importantly, the grind easy, because Ys is a very grindy game. But luckily, it's like it happens so quickly, so it's almost like just like instant gratification. The game, like you could bash away at enemies for a few minutes, level up, and it's the kind of game where one level makes all the difference against the boss. Like I've had it already where I've been fighting something, got absolutely mullered, and then just spent 30 minutes, teleported back to the beginning of the island, did a quick run through, well, not 2 levels, beat the boss. But because combat's fun, it doesn't really feel like a drag at all, which is nice. Trying to think what else. Oh, there's a fishing game. as well because it's a JRPG.
Yay!
So why wouldn't it have a fishing game?
Has to be.
And as far as fishing games go, it's actually not too bad. It's it's quite fun. It's just very simple, and yeah, it passes the time. Adult's got limited recovery items that you can use in combat, which are all in.
That's a box quote. It passes the time.
Yeah, I'm full of them. The recovery items are limited use, so everything comes in bottles, and then when you've used it, you get an empty bottle, and then you have to make your own potions and stuff again at special points. So if you run out during a fight, you're knackered. But you can also make lunch boxes, which is quite fun, which give you buffs and like regens and stuff. So I found myself using those before bosses because it just kind of takes the edge off. You get items and equipment from shops as normal, but if you're low on gold, you can also trade items against the cost of the thing that you're after. So there's like a barter system for all the materials and stuff that you pick up. And you can also upgrade your weapons and equipment. So it kind of like, if you find a sword that you like, it pays to just hold on to it because chances are it's going to be able to upgrade.
Best to do with a sword.
Considerably. Sorry?
Generally, holding on to it is best to do with a sword.
Yeah, unless you like a Jedi or something. But that's a different game, Tim. It's your game. Combat's pretty basic for, it's an action RPG, isn't it? You've got your standard attack, so you just wave a sword around. And then you've got your skills. So you hold down your R2 button and it brings up your face buttons, and they've all got a skill designated to it, and then you just kind of mash that. It costs special points to use those, but you can usually get about 3 or 4 special attacks before you've depleted all of your special points, but they recover quite quickly. So it feels closer to a cooldown system than it does like a magic point system in other games. And it kind of feels like combat was built around that because you can also control Karja. So you're in control of both characters, Adol and Karja, and you can switch them in real time. So you kind of deplete one of the character's specials, switch over to the next one, and while you're attacking with special attacks with them, the other character in the background's getting their special points back. And then when the current controlled one is empty, you switch them over again. And it gets a bit fiddly, like my thumbs get quite confused because I'll be looking at what I'm doing, trying to see if an enemy's about to attack so I know when to block. I'm looking at my special points to see if I'm about to run out. Then I've got to switch over to the other character, figure out which attack I want to do with them, while also looking at what I'm doing, while keeping an eye on both SP gauges to make sure that I'm ready to switch again. And a lot of the time I'll just be attacking and then I'll just start hearing the dud noise that says like your SP's run out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should switch now. So yeah, it's a bit confusing, but I've only put about 7 hours into it, so I'm hoping that by the time I get like further into it, it's going to be better. There's also something called duo mode, which gets activated when you hold down the block button, and then you take control of Adol and Karja in a kind of like Sonic Heroes weirdly effect. So you hold that down, and then they both attack at the same time. They have their own special move attacks that they can do, and it uses SP from both of their gauges. So you're just doing more and more powerful attacks, and it kind of feels not overpowered, but a bit confused as to when you're supposed to use it because of how powerful it is. Like, you're attacking with both characters, so your standard attacks do more, your special attacks do more. Because you're holding the block button down, all you need to do is stop attacking, and then you're instantly in a block. So you block most incoming attacks that way. And then enemies have powerful attacks that can only be blocked when in that mode. So I've just been running around like controlling them both at the same time, and it kind of feels odd to control 2 characters at once. But
I'm assuming they both like you're just moving directional for 1 and it's 2.
No, they stand next to each other, and then you control them both at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So they control as one character. So the only thing you can't do in that mode is jump and dodge because you've got your button held down.
Gotcha.
But you don't need to because you're blocking constantly. But it's fun. Like, it's fast, it's frantic. It gets a bit like playing Twister with your thumbs, but it's a good laugh when it gets going. But
I have a question, Mr. Rik.
Go on.
If I may. So this is a series that you like generally, the Eves series,
Yes.
basically. Yeah. Is it a series that is accessible to anyone that hasn't played any of the previous games, or is this a good jumping in point? Or
yeah, you can play any of them in any order because the way that the story's told is Ado, the main character, is old and dead, and he left behind journals.
I know how he feels.
Yeah. But he left behind journals of all of his adventures, and at the beginning of the game, it's like, oh, this is from the journal of Adol Kristen. Here's one particular adventure. And you'll get little references to like previous things. Like this one, they go, oh, wasn't that a fun adventure that we had on that island that time? But it has no bearing on the story, which is why it's, like I said, it's the 17th game, even though it's number 10 and it takes place after the second game, which is number 3 in the timeline. Like it's, yeah, they just sort of go, all right, well, here's a time period that we've not got a story for. Let's write something there. And if you don't think too hard about it, like, why is this guy not... Well, by the time you get to the end of the timeline, why is he not a god? Why does he just start at level 1 every time and go, oh, I've got a little sword? Because you'd think after years of adventuring and getting to, like, level 50 or 100 or whatever, by the time you're at the end of his timeline, like, he would be a god. But yeah, that's the on land stuff, which was a lot of fun. I don't, however, like the stuff at sea. So you've got a ship, and your ship can be upgraded. It's a trash heap at first, and you have to explore because it takes place in the north. You're playing with the Normans, like the Vikings. So it's their version of Scandinavia, really, and you're just going about islands and stuff. And the ship is so slow. Like, it moves so slow. It goes
it's a ship.
It's but it doesn't make for fun
it's
gameplay.
A boat, not a motorboat.
You're just trundling along, and then you'll get into a fight, and there's like ship to ship combat, and you've got your front cannon for slowing them down, and then you've got your side cannons for taking them out. Bigger ships, like boss ships, you can actually board them, and then it becomes like horde mode, where you just got to take on wave after wave of enemies until everything's dead, and then you rob it of all the treasure. Because, yeah, you're an adventure boy, but you're playing with pirates.
Sounds better than Skull and Bones, to be fair. So,
I mean, most things are, to be fair.
Doesn't this also have, like, ship control and then fighting on the deck of the ships?
Yeah, like when you board other ships.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, so that's...
What do you think boarding
Yeah,
meant?
so...
It's not like,
well, I mean, as
not school boarding. Doesn't go and live there during
as in
term
it being
time.
Playable and not just like a little animation or something. Like,
oh yeah, it's good. Yeah, like I said, you get onto the enemy ship, and then you get like a horde mode.
Cool.
And then it's just wave after wave. Like it's so that.
Sorry for
that's
trying
cool.
to clarify.
I know that's fine.
I meant Tim for being petty.
Yeah, but I've just unlocked the fast travel on sea, which is nice because now I don't have to mess about if I don't want to.
Yay!
But yeah, like I'm enjoying it. If you would have asked me earlier, like luckily I put it on before the podcast to get a few more hours out of it, and because the start of that game is slow. Man.
Yeah, I remember you saying
it's so slow. Like to complain that a JRPG is talky is a bit silly. But my God, in the first hour, I think I controlled the main dude for like 10 minutes. It was just waffle, just absolute vapid drivel as everyone's explaining, like, oh yes, well we're here and we're doing this and over there. I'm like, I don't care.
You're just
like,
describing a JRPG though, Rik. That's
no,
what
but
JRPGs
they've got so
do.
much worse. Dude, they got so much
RPGs
worse
in general.
Like I'm playing.
Well, it was when you went, oh, it was how are you using? And I was it's quite a bit talky. It's a bit much. And I was like, oh, that's a bit crap. And then as I sort of left, I went, hold on, he plays Persona. Like those are the talkiest of the talkies.
But when I'm playing Persona, I know that 50% of that is a life sim. It's all chat. It's go out and make friends with people. Who's the sexy girl? Let's marry this one. And then you've also got 50% dungeon crawling. Like, I'm completely prepared for that. If I was going to play a Zelda game and then spent the first hour and a half just chatting, you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, come on, can we just, I want to hit things. I don't want to build up. Like, I had one battle in the first half an hour, and it was just a training level to go press square to hit things with a sword. I'm like, cool, I've played this before, dude. I know what I'm doing. Can we skip this and get straight to the adventure? And like, I'm playing Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne at the moment on my Switch as well. Most characters have like 3 dialogue boxes and then pop off. They'll come up and go, well, things are a bit weird, aren't they? Anyway.
Don't overstay their welcome.
and then you just get so much gameplay out of it, and it drip feeds the story to you, and it keeps the mystery. You know, you want to know what's going on, so you play more and you go further, and everyone's like cryptic in how they talk, and it really catches you. Everything is just explained. And it was really annoying. But now it's at the point where they've kind of got the exposition out of the way, and they're going, go on, play, have fun. And I'm starting to have fun with it now, which is good, because I was like ready to drop off. But it's fun. Like, if you like action RPGs, especially this one, it feels more arcadey than Zelda because of like how quick the combat is, how fast Adol moves. It's fun. It's frantic.
What other JRPGs does it compare to? What, anyone that hasn't played the series, what is it like in other JRPGs?
The closest thing I can think to at the moment is the new Visions of Mana game, because you've got your little party.
Yeah.
You can switch between characters on the fly. You've got your main attacks. You've got your thingy attacks. I guess the Final Fantasy Remake and Rebirth, the way combat in that is like real time with character switching and skills that you can use. I know, personally, East and Visions of Mana way better than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but that's a conversation for another time. Again, Zelda, I recommended the East 8. I recommended that to a girl at work because she's like, I like Zelda. Can you recommend anything? I'm like, have I got the series for you? And she's got into that now. So, yeah, it's just like a quick-paced action RPG that I would say doesn't mess about, but God, that first hour and a half, good Lord. All it does is mess about.
Bring up previous games in the series not done that?
No, they've definitely got worse. As they've got bigger and got onto the last couple of gens of consoles, they've definitely got worse. The old ones were like a little talky, but they'd set up and you'd go, oh, well, you're here now, go over there. And there's no markers or anything, so you have to explore to find your way over there. And they're also like super quick paced and quite hard. But they've all got a story, they've all got a good story, but you don't have to sit there for 20 minutes while everyone explains the story to you. You just get a little bit of dialogue and then you're on your way to play for a bit. It usually takes at most 10 minutes to get going after you've watched the intro, had the setup, stuff explained to you, like controls explained to you, and then go. And this is like as far as just dragging out and the setup, that because they'll say what they need to, they'll get the point across, and then they'll just keep going. And
speaking of which,
hey,
we probably better move on to another game just so we have time to talk.
Stop asking me questions. I would have been finished 5 minutes ago.
Well, yes, that was partly my fault, but that was also why I was cutting in as well. But yeah, it sounds interesting. Right.
Play it if you like action RPGs. Highly recommend. It's quite cheap.
What's the platforms?
PlayStation 5, Xbox, I assume, and Steam. It's not on the Switch. I don't think. The last couple were, but I don't think this one is. Because even though it's not graphically great, it's a lot bigger than the other ones, so it might melt your Switch.
Oh. I mean, it is a dying
platform. It is on Switch. It is on Switch.
It is on Switch.
It is on Switch, but I doubt it's going to run well.
Okay, and how much is that priced at? Got to be expensive for all this game in one single product.
I think you've got to find it for like 40 quid. You've got to find it for about 40 quid.
Okay. It's $49.99 to $54.99 RRP, but yeah, you can get it cheap if you look. physically, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which,
Look physically.
I saved a. I see. Oh, sorry. Is there Steam Deck compatibility, Rick?
I don't know. I'm playing on PS5.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Speaking of getting games for cheap, brand new games, I've technically got 2 games. I'm doing a Tim. I've got 2 games in one to talk about this week.
Oh,
But I won't dwell on either of them too much, and there's only one that I really want to focus on for the most part, and that's going to be pretty short as well. So I've been playing Sonic X Shadow Generations, and the reason I don't want to focus on one side too much is because Sonic Generations is a game that came out on the that is the wrong game that is on the screen. Why did that happen? I'm going to fix that in post. So Sonic Generations is a game that came out on the 360 that I absolutely love and is possibly it's probably my favorite Sonic game. The whole premise, if you don't know, there's kind of wibbly wobbly timey stuff going on, and the original Sonic and modern day Sonic, or the Sonic X as I think people call him, they've kind of merged into one timeline, so you end up playing various different levels through the franchise, the various different Sonic games over the years, and they'll be remixed in certain ways with cool new soundtracks and stuff, and you'll have to play through them twice. One as the new star, which is behind the back of Sonic and having a boost button and lock-on attacks and all that kind of stuff. And then one being the original classic Sonic, where you've got the Sonic spin dash and everything's kind of 2D and more classic style. I really, really love that game. This is a improved version of the ports ported to new consoles. So it plays in 4K, it runs at 60, looks gorgeous. It's still an absolute blast to play. It's worth picking up. However, it also comes with Shadow Generations, which is a brand new campaign added to the game, which I honestly thought this was going to be along the lines of they did this with Mario a little while ago, a few years ago on the Switch, where you got the I forget the Wii U version of Mario
3D World with
that was it.
Bowser's
Fury. That was it. And I thought it was going to be a bit like that, where it was an impressive and fun game added on, but not that, not a huge game you wouldn't be putting it as a game of the year. It seems like a DLC level added on. No, this is like a full game they've added in, and
okay.
I won't get into like the big details because I'm popular to common belief around the world. I'm not that autistic where I'm so massively into the lore of Sonic. I probably was when I was a child, and I just haven't. Yes, I know you are. I have not followed on with the lore over the years. I don't fully understand Shadow, and I didn't play Shadow the Hedgehog on the PS2. But this is basically the sequel to Sonic Shadow the Hedgehog on PS2. Although this is taking place at the same time as all the Sonic stuff's going on, all the weird time things, and they've added to it in the way of, in between the levels in Sonic, you had this kind of 2D plane, the white void, where all the levels would appear and you'd go through and play through them, and then it was a hub basically. You have that, but now everything's 3D and behind the back third person type thing, traditional kind of Sonic way of playing it, and it's opened it up into one large level.
I'd argue that's not traditional Sonic way of playing things, but still, I would say that was 2D. But
I mean, it's been 3D for longer than it was 2D.
Well, yes,
correct.
Since
the
use of the word traditional.
Since the Dreamcast, Tim, we don't count Sonic 3D.
Maybe.
That was just witchcraft. But yes, so that stuff's all opened up as well. But then you've got the main levels themselves, and it's similar to the modern day Sonic way of playing games. You got your spin attacks, your jumps, your lock on attacks, your grinding. There's a lot of grinding in this game. But it's Shadow, so you also have the Chaos Control, where you can use the power of the Chaos Emerald to slow down time. That's something that comes in quite handy along the way. But then this is something I didn't know. Shadow is created by the DNA of an alien race of some form. So along the way, you unlock like these alien abilities, from wings to having like a projectile. And I'm sure there's going to be other things along the way. Yes, Tim, Alien. Happy Halloween, everyone. And so that stuff's weird, and there's a lot of lore and story, because the lore that came with the Sonic generations when I was playing it, it was literally something's going on. There's a couple of cutscenes. You'll get to the end, and wasn't that fun? We're going to do a little stinger to the next game, which I think was Colors. Can't remember. And then, but this one, there's so many cutscenes, and it's all, you're on a space station, and there's a Robotnik's grandfather, and there's a small child here, and there's another small child here, but modern day, the child's a colonel, and he's got two colors in his eyes, and I don't know what's going on. It's very Japanese. But the actual gameplay is very fun. I'm really, really enjoying that part of it. Doing shadowy things and chaos control and adding to the platform, all that great stuff. The coolest thing I find about this game is the visual detail, because at the end of some of the levels, you'll go up against one of the aliens that your Shadow's part of the same DNA, and it's basically Starro from DC. And you'll chase after them and then have to hit them at the end. But while you're chasing them, the levels just turn into the weird kaleidoscope mirror world from Doctor Strange, where all the buildings start spinning around and opening up and stuff. That stuff is cool to look at. And when it happened first, I went, well, that was cool for an opening level, and I'm glad they did that nice little display. It's a shame that I won't see that throughout. No, it keeps happening. Love it. It's a really cool thing to look at, so I was glad that kept happening. It's very fun. It is adequately priced. You can get the game on all the modern day consoles, and I think it's on the Switch as well. No, it's not on the Switch as well. Yeah. Wait, is it?
Have you got the Keanu Reeves version?
I do not have the Keanu Reeves. So that's on like a super special edition, which I'm assuming they're going to sell at a later date for plebs like me that just bought a regular version of the game. But there is a Sonic movie pack that includes movie skins for the characters, and if you play a Shadow, then you will have the entire game voiced by Keanu Reeves, which makes it automatically Game of the Year, because all great games star Keanu Reeves, like Cyberpunk and that Matrix technical demo. Remember that? Remember that?
Oh yeah,
that was good. Yeah,
it became anything else.
Anyway, it's really good. It's $44.99. I managed to get it on a deal. I picked it up for $35, I think it was. So that wasn't bad at all. And I am having a lot of fun with this. Tim, talk about the biggest Call of Duty launch in Call of Duty history. So says Microsoft, the owners of Call of Duty, although they don't release digital sales figures and haven't said if that includes Game Pass.
Yeah. Well, I've been playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Anyone that's a regular listener to the show, I haven't really spoken about Call of Duty for a number of years because I haven't played the last few. But I've generally been, a passing fan of the campaigns in particular. I don't really play the multiplayer portions of it, but I like the bombastic nature of the kind of campaign modes and the kind of popcorn movie-esque, like almost Mission Impossible style kind of takes on over-the-top action that they present in their campaign modes, and that really delivers on that kind of promise. This campaign does. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I was really enjoying it up until a point. The first few levels, very much in that kind of nature. The level that we're seeing in the video here is one where you're kind of infiltrating a political event and trying to get some dirt so that you can weasel your way in past that to get to a black site that is underneath the event, basically.
Isn't it literally the Clintons' fundraiser?
Yes, and Bill Clinton is part of the people there, and you're kind of trying to get some dirt on a governor to then trick him into taking a photo of his eye so that you can use the picture of his eye to get past a retinal scanner to get into the black site that is underneath the venue here, basically.
This
which
sounds
is
like
in Washington, DC,
power fantasy.
Yeah, so it very much seems like a kind of Mission Impossible style kind of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is very
Clintons.
kind of silly. There's an earlier level that I think is in kind of Venetian setting type thing and stuff like that. And like as I said, those sort of levels are really good. It also goes a bit like, and I think it was slightly better when it was disjointed from this. And I must say that having not played the last few Black Ops and having forgotten the ones that I've played before, I've no idea if I'm supposed to know these characters, if it's a continuation of a story, if it's a brand new thing. I really don't know. There's a guy called Adler in it who I half recognize from somewhere. He looks old and might have been in previous things. There's a guy called Mitchell that's heading up the team. I've no idea if he's brand new or has just come to the party for this one. But I'm a bit confused as to that type of stuff. But in terms of like story presentation and setup, it's really quite good. You've got like a kind of home base that you open up after the first mission that you're then like adding to and able to unlock different benches, which give you different access to different sets of skills, which you can then upgrade your character. And it will be stuff like how much damage you take when something explodes, or how much life you have, or it's a kind of, and there are actually perks that are particular to multiplayer that you can't open unless you're playing in multiplayer. But it's that kind of nature of stuff just brought into the campaign mode. And again, I don't know if that's entirely new for this game, but it's the first time I remember them doing that in this style of game, basically, in the campaign mode. Overall, they may have brought that in previous ones, but I haven't really seen it. But definitely in terms of having the HQ that you unlock and stuff like that as well. There's also like a series of puzzles and mysteries that are set in that HQ. And that you can kind of solve to unlock a safe that has some money in that you can then unlock some more skills with, which wasn't something I was expecting at all. And I think some of that's being shown on screen now. Basically, there's like a piano where you've got to hit certain keys to unlock a door, and that leads to a bunker underneath and stuff like that. And yeah, like that was all quite good fun and not something I was necessarily expecting from the game. But yeah, like the overall package and what they were doing there was fine. Like they then move on to kind of some other like real world settings, and that's where I get a bit dubious with the Call of Duty thing, because I think they were slightly better when it was slightly more abstract and they were doing like Cold War stuff and stuff like that. That was obviously a real world setting, but they kind of just set it up. They had the whole controversy with No Russia and stuff, and I believe they've had some controversy with this because the opening level take part in Kuwait. You can no longer buy this game in Kuwait. I heard from someone else the other day because they weren't particularly happy with the portrayal of them in this necessarily. Although there's nothing necessarily inherently bad about what they show in it, but there was something that upset them in it. There's also some stuff where they move into Iraq, and there's stuff with the whole Operation Desert Storm type of thing. So I imagine there's going to be some people upset by that as well. I was a little bit more upset from that level, but not because of the level. The actual level goes into a kind of open world setting, and there's various different mini games you can play. Not mini games, but various different like sub levels that you can go to there, like clearing out an area, or the major thing is that you have to take out 3 SAM sites, but there are things that you can do that lead up to that give you access to more weaponry. Like if you take out I'm maybe misremembering my military terminology here, but you're taking out like 3 missiles that are firing massive missiles intercontinentally. But then if you take out, I think the SAM sites are... anyway, you're taking out anti-aircraft stuff, and that gives you the ability to then have a helicopter that you can use in the other missions, basically. And you can actually call in like an airstrike that drops a bomb and then you can guide down onto things as well. And doing various different sets of those submissions will unlock different skills like that. There's a mortar that you can find somewhere else that opens up, and a mortar strike and stuff like that. That was all good. I liked the presentation of that. It might be a slightly controversial setting, but in terms of gameplay and fun, that was a really good level. I really enjoyed it. The only problem is I had to play it twice because I unlocked the skill to do the helicopter thing, and you unlock that by doing taking out the 3 air defenses and then going back to your layup, as they call it, which is your kind of base of operations there. You go back to the layup, and there's a British guy from the SAS that is kind of heading up that operation, and you're taking out these intercontinental missile sites as a favor to him, so he'll help you assault the palace that he was going to blow up before you got there, basically. Anyway, so it's slightly getting into the weeds with that. But in doing the submission where I had to use the helicopter to stop an assault on the layup, I accidentally shot the head of the SAS guy.
Oh no!
And the game didn't take kindly to that because I don't think it's expecting me to do that. And then when I got back from doing that mini mission, he was dead, just lying there, not talking. I was like, maybe he's sleeping. Maybe when I come back from doing the other submissions, he'll have woken up again. He did not wake up again. Spoilers. And when I came back to the layup, it was just a kind of anti-explosive vest thing that was hovering in a rock in the ground.
No, a rack.
No, a rock that I had to talk to, and he wasn't talking back.
Nice.
So I had to literally reset the whole level, do all the submissions again. I didn't do all of them this time. I did all of them in my first run through. I just did the mainline, the ones that I needed to actually get through the mission the second time. So that was a bit annoying because it was a big open world thing and it doesn't have a multi-save system, a multi-slot save system. So I couldn't just go back to an earlier save and redo a bit. I had to do the whole hour and a half gameplay type of idea, maybe even a bit more. I think it probably took me nearer 2 hours to get through the whole thing. So I'm not as advanced through the game as I would be, so I haven't completed the campaign. Overall, though, it's been quite a few hours. I quite enjoyed my time with it. The one level I didn't like is the one level I did after the Iraq level, where it's here's our in-world explanation of why we have zombies in this game. And it basically, slight spoilers if you bothered about the spoiling the story of that's very kind of loosely threaded through these different missions. But you find a biological weapon. There's the zombie thing. There's the explanation of the biological weapon. You get exposed to the biological weapon. Oh, no. You start having nightmares and seeing zombies. And that whole level was just, it didn't feel in keeping with the rest of the game. And I could have done without the whole thing. It was okay, but it's not been up to the standard of the rest of the game. And it's not why I came to this game in terms of the bombastic Mission Impossible stuff that is the stuff that I have enjoyed, basically.
It's very strange that a game pushing so far toward real-world events would punish you for friendly fire.
Yeah, and it doesn't let you shoot people generally. It's just,
but then
for some reason, it let me do that in there. And yeah, and then zombies, which is, it just seems a little
on
odd.
Pyro Fantasy is what it is. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But
you know what? Story stuff that
you know what SAS stands for, Tim?
Silly assault sausages.
Super Army Soldier.
Yeah.
Roskam said so himself.
He did. And he would know.
He'd know.
He wouldn't know. He's a silly sausage.
He's very short.
So, bearing in mind, this game is $69.99, a full £70 for the base game. But it is available on Game Pass Ultimate. Just the campaign, though.
Yes.
Is it worth it?
Let me work it.
It's worth the price of Game Pass, as I mentioned. And I think if you're going to buy the game, you really want to be getting at least something out of the multiplayer and the zombies mode. For me, I have no interest in playing the multiplayer. I might dip into a bit of zombies mode at some point, but as I said, the level in the campaign actually put me off wanting to play the zombie mode, which I otherwise might have gone into. But generally, I'm really glad that I get access to the campaign mode because that's the only bit that I'm bothered about, and I'm not willing to spend £70 to get access to it.
Yeah, I think
so from my perspective, I'm really liking the fact that I get to access this through Game Pass because it does give me extra value to Game Pass, and it does mean that I get to play something that I've enjoyed playing. So it's good from that perspective. I'm not sure if you don't have Game Pass, if the campaign on its solely by itself is worth the price of admission. So I would look to get it cheaper if that is the case for you, basically.
How long was the campaign, roughly?
As I said, that one level alone took me about 2 hours the first time. And then I've put about 45 minutes to an hour into the 4 or 5 other missions. And you've got a kind of one of those, I was going to say mood board, but it's not a mood board. They call it the evidence board, where you're piecing things together, and it kind of takes up a particular site, an area for the different missions you have, and it's got all the clues you found and pictures of people that, you're kind of piecing the overall story together. And so from that would lead me to indicate I've got another couple of levels left. So it's probably about 9 to 10 hours, I would say, for the campaign.
It sounds about the same as the Modern Warfare campaigns.
Yeah.
Just the
How
right size.
are the fingers?
Yes. Do they go
Gotta
in
see them
cracks?
fingers. Fine. I mean, I wouldn't know, but it is graphically impressive. Like the people in it and the general kind of capturing of stuff and lip sync, all that type of stuff. Like that's all impressive, and the game, the visuals of the game are impressive themselves, and that's quite cool. So yeah,
Some of those
I've
post
enjoyed it.
9/11 interrogation techniques, there was definitely some fingers in cracks.
Yeah.
I have installed this because A, I need a reason to play the Xbox Series X, and B, I have to have a reason to justify paying for Game Pass Ultimate. But I still haven't got around to playing it because A, Sonic, and B, no interest. But I was walking past the Microsoft store today and saw a Triumph that was branded for Call of Duty Black Ops, and that was enough to make me go, yeah, maybe I should play that game. So, Windows Shop marketing does work, apparently, on me, because I'm an idiot. Yeah.
And as I said, it's been fun. I do recommend playing the campaign if you've got access to Game Pass.
I've played the first few levels. I'm a really big fan of how they've taken Call of Duty and turned it into a Hitman game, from what I've played so far.
That is available on PC, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and of course, the Xbox Series X and S, and it is available on Game Pass, as we said. But Game Pass Ultimate, you have to have Ultimate. If you don't have Ultimate, you can't play it. You got to pay the biggest price for the biggest game.
We also, thanks to Nitwit, who was our resident Call of Duty expert, have a upcoming review for the entire single-player campaign, and for the multiplayer as a separate review for a bit of zombies and a bit of multiplayer as well.
Why are we reviewing
Nitwit's
that
killing
separately?
He asked.
Dealer's choice, I suppose. Just
I
a
guess
strange
because-
thing. Like if the whole thing comes as a package, strange to me that you'd review it in pieces.
Well,
but
you don't.
I suppose, like you and I, just play for the campaign. So I suppose you want to know that score, don't you?
It is weird. Every Call of Duty game, that does seem to be the norm. They do a multiplayer review and a campaign review, but I don't know why.
Well,
It's very strange.
Nitwit asked if we wanted 3 separate reviews, but he said he wasn't planning on playing
3?
zombies.
3?
Because that's the way IGN did it. So he asked if that we wanted similar.
Oh, well,
and I
if
said,
IGN did it.
yeah, exactly. But I said 2 would be sufficient, especially if he wasn't going to play that much of zombies anyway. So yeah, and more content.
All
into
right.
it.
We've got one more, and we're going to do this the quickest one, I think. And because it's only a short thing we did, but I don't know if you guys have, but me and Rick have been playing the Monster Hunter Wilds beta. We had a very quick go on that.
All I
With
want
the
to say on this
intention
very
of-
quickly is that a friend of the site, Jamie, and writer for the site, Jamie, sent me a couple of screenshots of what they've been advertising, and he found the exact same place in the world on the
Yep.
PlayStation 5 version and took a screenshot and sent me that. As a side-by-side comparison, I've never seen anything so just completely
Degraded.
contrasting.
Yeah.
It looked awful. But beta test, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're in-game screenshots, then I'm assuming they are PC in-game screenshots.
Almost certainly, yeah.
So for the beta, you get a little bit of the story.
That was a noise.
You get a little bit of the story, and then that goes into the multiplayer, and then you should be okay to start playing with people online. I did the story and went, that's enough for that. And and I believe you did the same, Rick.
Yeah, I put it on again last night for an hour or so, and it's fine. It's Monster Hunter. I don't think it looks great on the PS5. A lot of the textures, especially when the weather changes, it looks like the textures aren't there. It's weird. It
That's not
runs like crap as well, like 30 FPS if you're lucky. It's... I don't know,
Are
I'm
they
not really
saving all the graphics for the Pro, do you think?
Yeah,
Definitely.
that PC. Like, it's weird, and it says a lot about the REX engine. I've always been a fan of the RE engine because that thing's magic, but I don't think it's ready for open world yet, especially on this generation of consoles. But I'm not a big fan of open world games. I find them quite overwhelming, and this just kind of starts you off. And then when you get to the lobby, it goes, "Go." I'm like, "Go where?"
That was very
what?
jarring.
Breath of the Wild must have been a fun experience for you.
No.
It's weird on that because, like, yeah, you get to the lobby, and this is by all inspirations. This is like the follow up to Monster Hunter World, which very kind of traditional, but opened up for the PlayStation market. And this is doing the same as that. But yeah, when you get to the lobby and it's an open world, oh wait, no, that's not right.
Yeah,
I thought I was exploring my base camp, not going out to hunt something.
And then you just see all these players like pop in and out like an MMO, and that's really jarring because people are like loading on top of each other, and like you've played MMOs. When you go into a well-populated area, it looks janky as all hell. So it just has a really weird feel to it. Like, combat's fine. Combat's much the same. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've not got a problem with it. It took me I've not played since April, I think, so it took me a few minutes to get back into the swing of things, but I was able to find my groove with my main weapon. But they've added some new mechanics that I'm not too big on.
Groove back.
It did, just like Stella. And there's a lot of focus on, like, you can aim now. If you hold down one of the shoulder buttons, it brings up an aiming reticule, and you can aim where you want your hits to go, which feels jarring on a sword because there's a big emphasis on hitting weak spots. Yeah. And it's like, hit this weak spot to break it and do massive damage. And you're like, oh, I've lined it up. And then the monster runs away. You're like, well, what am I doing? And I've not quite got my head around those new mechanics yet. So I've just been playing it old school. And I'm like, okay, well, it's more Monster Hunter, but it doesn't look as good as... It looks about as good as World. It doesn't run as well as World. And because it's just a beta, like it's just a demo, the blacksmith isn't open. So there's no point to keep playing. There's no point to keep farming it because in Monster Hunter, I need that gameplay loop of hunt monster, carve monster, make weapons and armor, hunt bigger monster.
Yeah.
Most importantly, though, can you get a cat to cook your dinner for you?
No, you do it
the
yourself
only reason
now.
I'd play Monster
You do it
Hunter.
yourself, yeah.
What?
Not the cat, but you cook your own food.
Outrageous.
And
I know.
the cat talks.
It doesn't look as good as the last one.
Now it sounds like a...
Oh, no. Right. That's optional. You can have the cat speak English or Japanese or any other language that's available. I kept mine as Palacoese or whatever they called it. I was like, no, you only talking cat noises. And I got to pitch shift the cat's voice to make it sound like as I wanted it, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't play with a lot of those settings because I just wanted to get into the gameplay. Like, it's nice that they put the full character curation and stuff on it, which was nice because you can transfer your character, not your progress, but your character into the main game when it comes out. But I'm like, yeah, but I just want to play the thing. I want to get into it, and it
When
took
does
a
the
while
beta
to get.
run to?
It's
Done.
finished,
Oh.
but then a new one starts tomorrow night, America
good.
time.
I'm considering
And
playing
America
Beta just
time.
because that's
America time.
probably all I need to play of the game, basically.
Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 monsters.
And I'm going to come hunt you in that costume, Rik.
I want to do this
Promises
again
to.
on PC
Hunt
and
you
see
down.
how that runs.
Yeah,
When I was playing the opening level, I went, oh, this looks nice. Oh, I'm enjoying this. And then as soon as I hit the hub, it went, oh, something's wrong with this. And then I turned, maybe it's the motion. I turned the motion blur off. Oh no, it just runs like arse in the hub. As soon as it went to open world, it went, nope, can't do this.
Yeah, the lack of performance and graphic mode was jarring for me.
It's a beta.
Yeah,
Like bear in mind, this is
I
this
just
is the
hope it's
last
there.
set of stuff that they'll work on, is the polishing and the refinement of things like that. And not to mention, if this is a beta test, it's probably a 6-month or older build that you're playing, because it'll be completely unstable at this point while they're getting it ready for going gold.
That's fair, but I still want to criticize.
Yeah,
That's fair.
like,
Yeah.
When
And
when
you're right to do
things-
so.
It is.
like,
the
I'm
internet.
sure I'll enjoy the full game.
Yeah, when things start getting jerky, then I struggle with the frame rates, makes me feel travel sick. So that's why I had to stop playing on the open world part.
I do have a lot of confidence in the RE engine to make things look and feel great, because that engine is doing God's work at the moment.
I don't know how it does what it does.
Satan's work
It's
more
insane.
often, but
Yeah.
It's insane, and that's why seeing this like that, I'm like, yeah, it did feel like a very it feels more alpha than beta, to be honest. It's
Aye.
I'm not. I don't know. I'm not apprehensive, but I kind of am. Like I'm going to get the full game because Monster Hunter is one of my favorite series. I love playing it with. I play with my girlfriend. I play with my best mate back home. Like it's just something that we get on and do. But I don't like the idea that if it is going to be like spec'd for the pro, that kind of sucks for. That's what it feels like.
I'd be very shocked if. Yeah, I mean, right now maybe, but I'd be very shocked if that were the case.
And I do hope that they take feedback because it's really finicky to get into, like to get your friend into your game.
Oh, in a Monster Hunter game,
dude. It's now you have to invite someone in to link to your party, and then invite them into your world, and then get them to join you up, and then get them on your. I'm like, I can't do this.
Then send them a handwritten letter, get it notarized.
Yeah, you got something about a pigeon. It's just weird. But
something about a pigeon.
Yeah, I hope it gets. I do hope it gets streamlined, but it just yeah, the whole
the
thing
multiplayer connection won't.
Like, I was never a fan of the expeditions in Monster Hunter World, and the whole game just feels like a giant expedition. The beta at least just feels like a giant expedition, and yeah, I mean we'll see. I'll get it, and I hope all my apprehension is misplaced because I've been looking forward to this game for a very long time, and yeah, I do hope that the full thing is actually as good as World. Because I was hopes
for it.
Well, yeah, I was apprehensive about World when I first saw that as well because it looked so different to the handheld games, and World's amazing. So I'm hoping it's that kind of situation again.
I played 3 Ultimate, 4 Ultimate, and World, and that was the last time I played one. I didn't play Iceborne. I didn't play Wilds or whatever the Wilds expansion was called. So I'm really hoping that they come out swinging with this one because I'd like to get back into Monster Hunter and
yeah. Well, if you do,
we'll
puck up for sure. We'll team up and we'll, especially because it's cross-platform. And I genuinely think that's the only reason that Exo Primal exists is for them to try the RE engine out cross-platform to see if they can get it working.
There's not a lot of other reasons it exists.
No, that's my tinfoil hat conspiracy.
I think it was just to annoy people that wanted a new Dino Crisis, but hey.
Like me.
I do want a new Dino Crisis.
PlayStation put that on PS Plus recently.
Yeah, and then
I need to go and play that.
Premium. They locked it behind the premium thing, apparently.
I need to go and play it.
Well, all their classics are blocked behind premium.
So do you want Game Pass Premium for the latest Call of Duty, or do you want PlayStation Plus Premium for the oldest Dino Crisis?
Or you could be psychotic like me and subscribe to both.
Crazy.
I'm going to check later to see if you can buy it, because I was able to buy The Legend of Dragoon on PS5 for like $7.99 PS1 Classic, so hopefully they've done that, because I'll happily buy a 4th copy of Dino Crisis.
I think it depends if they're emulating it or not. Worth a look.
Right. I think that is enough of the games we've done played. We'll skip the news for the most part, I think. We will just quickly say that Sony has officially cancelled Concord and closed down Firewalk Studios. It's not a great day.
No.
It is. A lot of people are going to be losing their jobs, even though the PlayStation put out a statement to say that they're going to try and relocate jobs for some people there, aka people in management will probably be okay.
Listen, they got plenty of other live service games in the can that they can, in the pipeline that they can move these people onto,
like Marathon.
That was the worst part.
Them left, right, and centre though now. But hey.
In their statement, they say they don't say like we've learned from our mistakes and we'll try better in the future. It's like we've learned from our mistakes and our next live service game will be even better. Like, sorry,
no, that was not the lesson to learn. This whole thing was badly managed from start to finish, though, in terms of putting that game out in the way that they did, in the format that they did, and not making it free to play. And
I bet they had a panic attack. Every single person on that team had panic attacks when Justice League hit.
And bombed.
Yeah. That is 2 big live service games that launched and both failed, and both cost reportedly around about the same, like $200 million, was it?
400 being reported for Concord. roughly.
At least Rocksteady still exists for now.
Yeah.
For now, I mean, all their heads have gone during the development. The director got changed. Like everything's all on fire and falling apart. But also there was. Sorry, go on.
So I just feel bad for all the devs involved because they genuinely believed that what they were making was a great product. It just didn't resonate with people, and now they're all out of a job because Sony don't know how to handle their games anymore. So,
if I had said to you, going back to Justice League quickly, a year ago, that the best Batman game in 2024 would not be made by Rocksteady,
yeah,
you probably think that's a bit mad.
While Rocksteady are also putting out an Arkham Universe game.
Allegedly.
Seems mad. Well,
haven't they already written it off
universe
as canon now? Didn't they say that that's not actually canonical anymore?
I don't think they have. It's just some of the things that happen in there that people got annoyed with. They very quickly went, oh, backpedal.
Well, the end of that game goes multiple universe heavy, so they've got a way out.
I'm over the multiverse stuff.
Anyway, one of the lesser-known studios as well, Neon Koi. They were a German studio set up by PlayStation.
I never heard of
No, you wouldn't have. You may have heard of the formation, but they hadn't actually put any games out. They were formed just to make mobile games for PlayStation. So the two studios that were formed for microtransactions based in games, one being live service and one being a mobile game, both got shut down. But they're still going ahead. So, hey-ho. Anyway, that is all the news we got time for this week, and that's all the games. We had a lot of games this week.
We've got 4 people on.
And we ran out of time.
We've got 4 people on, and we ran out of time. Why am I just repeating what people are saying? I'm just padding for time,
Because you
apparently.
think you're in a Metal Gear game.
Everyone should play that new Pokemon TCG game on phones. It's great.
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did. I haven't got through the tutorial of battling yet. But
it's the first time I've killed my massive battery on my iPhone 14 Max ever.
I didn't know where that sentence was going to go. I like the shininess of the shiny cards. That's fun. Makes me feel all warm inside. And I like that I can set my profile picture as the fat Pikachu card I had as a child. So that was good. Right. Before we go, we've got some plugs to do. First of all, if you want some BRB themed merch, then you should go to tpublic.com/stores/BRB. There we've got merch for Big Red Barrel. We've got merch for BRB UK, I assume. I can never remember. But also not just BRB stuff, but video game themed things in general. I particularly like the Sonic the Hedgehog t-shirt. It is a pretty good t-shirt. Unfortunately, it's not about Shadow and his alien DNA or the grandchild of the Dr. Robotnik that he likes to hang out with.
Maria
which is not
is her
sus
name.
at all. Maria. That's a problem that we tried to solve by sticking her with a dark hedgehog. That's what we're talking about anymore. Also, Dan's face is on some stuff. tpublic.com/stores/BRB. Tim, have you put a contributor plug in there? Or was that from last week?
No, that's Rick. He's plugging himself, which, we shouldn't show on camera.
Why not?
I just wanted to leave
or at
that
least
one
put up a
lone
paywall
laugh.
first.
Yeah.
Well, I've
Put
got
it on
to get my
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans out there somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Rick, he has a YouTube channel called The Game Cupboard. Rick, why don't you tell us about The Game Cupboard?
It's this thing, innit? This little mess that I live in. Yes, YouTube channel, retro and indie, I mostly focus on. Retrospectives are the things that I like to do, talking in depth about games and their mechanics. But as you probably could tell from the East review, considerably longer than I probably should. I'm not very good at editing myself. I put videos out infrequently, but when I do, they're made with love. So come along to The Game Cupboard on YouTube and you can hear my dulcet tones talk to you about stuff.
Check out Rick's sticky videos on
This is why I don't work in sales, man. I'm so
cupboard of
bad at it. Just
Cupboard of love.
Yeah, come to the love cupboard.
The love cupboard.
Bring your black.
That's a way better name.
That's a better name. Yeah, you should go with that.
Come aboard the love cupboard. I've got my Godzilla on.
Come in my love cupboard.
Tim! Tuesday is a Tuesday. Why don't you talk about it?
Tuesday is indeed a Tuesday, and each and every Tuesday we do an event called the Tabletop Tuesday. The Tabletop Tuesdays at the
Say
loading
Tuesday
bar
one more
in
time, I
Stoke,
beg.
Newington. Tuesday.
Wednesday.
So
Friday.
anyone that doesn't know yet,
Friday.
most weeks we have a different feature game. If you play that feature game, you get a chance to win a copy of that game at the end of the evening. Last week, I will quickly mention, because it was our Halloween special, we had multiple Alien games, as I was talking about last week. Alien Fate of Nostromo, and as I said the name last week, I made a mistake when I was naming it last week. I will make sure I get this right. It's Aliens, a hard day in the... No, a glorious
Another
day
glorious
in the core.
day in the core.
Exactly. That's what it should be.
And then Aliens, a hard day's night.
Yes. But we had that and some of the expansions. And I will also say a big thank you to Rik while he's on the show as well, because he helped me for the best part of 7 hours sticking the two kits together for the Another Glorious Day in the Core game as well. So yeah,
And
that took us a long
headaches.
while because we had lots of aliens to make with fiddly tails and lots of marines. And I may have chopped one of Ripley's necks a bit too short. So that made things a bit more. But yes,
played
thank you very
Sonic.
much for that, Rik. That was much appreciated. But yeah,
Anytime.
that was a really good fun night. Hence the fact I had been wearing my alien themed costume for today as well, because I had that on the night as well. But that was a really good fun event. Lots of awesome prizes given out, lots of people having lots of fun. It was a good event. So thank you very much for everyone that joined us for that. And thank you for Rik's contribution and help and glue in gluing together the minis that we needed for that event. So,
And fumes.
yeah, and
I
fumes.
thought I
Yeah.
got rid of them as well, but then my girlfriend won the game, so now they're all back at my house again.
Yes.
Are you saying that
So,
someone's
okay.
been playing Alien with a Ripley that's got a neck like Kurt Angle, and it's just like,
Yeah.
like tiny little, nice.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
I fixed
Tabletop
it.
Tuesdays.
Tabletop
Oh, go on.
Tuesday at the loading bar in Stoke Newington. This week, we don't have a feature game because it's the first Tuesday of the month, so we do our social games night. So come along and we'll be playing games of Blood and the Clock Tower, which you can join in for free, or you can join our draft event for Star Wars Unlimited. We're growing our number of Star Wars Unlimited players. I'm really glad to see. I taught someone else last week. But yeah, so more people are joining us for that. But we will have a draft event on Tuesday. It's £15 to enter. You get more than £15 worth of cards. It's a fun way. We're going to be doing it for set 3, which is the new set, which is coming out on this Saturday. Also, just note we're doing a pre-release event on Saturday at the loading bar. There are more details on the meetup group for that as well. But you can just message Jimmy at loading.bar if you want to join in for that and book your place in. That is a £30 entry fee, but you get more than 30 quid's worth of cards. And it's a really good way of getting introduced to the game. Set 3 is coming out this weekend. I'm very, very excited for it. And so, yeah, there is a event that we're doing from 1 p.m. till 5 p.m. 12:30 start for that. But 12:30 arrival for a 1 o'clock start. And yeah, that should be a really fun event. Really good way to get introduced to the game and a good way to get cards and have a fun event while doing that as well. So if you're interested in that, as I said, more details for Tabletop Tuesday and for that event on meetup.com. You can search the Star Wars official site for details on our Star Wars stuff, or you can just come along to bigredbarrel.com, and on the right hand side there are more details for Tabletop Tuesday.
Tabletop Tuesday at the loading bar in Stoke Newington. Be there on a Tuesday, or alternatively come to Rik's Sticky Love Cupboard for £50 entry fee. He'll show you a good time.
Come and play in me
Show
wank
you it's
shed.
Godzilla.
Yes. We are brought to you from BigRedBarrel.com. Make sure to go there. It's new, it's improved, it's actually red now. And we've got some articles, we've got some podcasts, we've got videos. It's awesome. Check it out. Seriously, check it out. Also, you can find us on our social media accounts, which we have available as links on the website, as well as in the show notes of this here episode. You can find us on X, Threads, and Facebook at Big Red Barrel, Twitch at Big Red Barrel, YouTube at Big Red Barrel TV. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, give us a comment, say hello, subscribe, and you will know when the live shows happen, like this one here you are watching possibly or listening to at a later date. And also, the edited versions go out on YouTube the same time as the audio version of the show. Make sure to say hello to us on Discord. There is a link available once again on bigredbarrel.com and also available on the show notes, the links on the show notes. Go there, talk to us. We like talking to people. We have a BRB room. There's a VRB room if you want to talk about virtual reality things with Kev and Tim. You can find that once again on bigredbarrel.com, but also you could try and figure out if you can decipher the written link, as Dan likes to say, at discord.com/invite/munterhafwa, which that's not right, but there's a thing on the screen that tells you. All right. We did get a question. It's going to have to be quick because we are running way over today thanks to some technical issues, but it's aired, he says. Who on the BRB UK team is most kissable? Which he gave the choice, Dan, Chris, or Tim. And then there was a poll on Discord.
Oh, I did not see the poll.
I won. Dan and Tim got no votes.
Ah,
Ed
I
was
mean,
the
you
only
do
one.
have a
Was it
very
just Ed?
kissable head, to be fair.
I do have a very kissable head. I just wanted to rub that in. Question the
Okay.
second, also from Ed. He says, as it's Halloween, which of the
Yeah.
hosts is most likely to turn into a scary serial killer? Bonus points if you can convince us it's anyone but Stabby Tim.
Well, Tim would
Yeah,
forget
fair.
what he's
Okay,
doing
Stabby.
halfway through.
To be fair, though, and I'll say this especially because Dan won't listen to a podcast that he's not on. Secret, if anyone does know. So we can say what we like about Dan this week. So we might as well just say it's him. But also, he is a doctor. Not just that, a doctor
He does have the
that
medical
doesn't
knowledge.
really do doctoring. And you never trust a doctor that doesn't do doctoring. That's serial killer behavior right there. Like, he probably does things. I'm not saying definitely, but he probably does things with like dead animals. He'll probably move into being a serial killer at some point. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
You look the most like a serial killer, though. It's those dark, dead eyes.
Like a shark's eyes.
I mean,
like a
I'm
doll's
little dead
eyes. That's it.
inside, so, you know.
I'm just going to say, you haven't. Has anyone actually seen Dr. Destiny Dan and Harold Shipman in the same room at the same time?
I don't think that's
I
ever
don't
been
think they
seen.
have. No.
Very suspicious
Putting that
behavior
out there.
there.
I have not.
I've never seen
No.
him in the same room as RuPaul either, so there's some food for
What
thought.
the hell?
Oh,
Whoa. He's worked it
We're
out.
onto something.
Busted him. There was also a poll on that as well. The winner is Dr.
RuPaul on-
Chainsaw
RuPaul
Dan.
being a serial killer. What?
No, on the serial killery thing. Yeah,
Oh,
Dan,
right, okay.
aka Dan, aka Dr. Chainsaw, is the winner. Followed
See, I told ya.
tied with me and Tim. Chris, aka the editing tape strangler, and Tim McStabby Stab. Changing the name
I'm pretty
slightly.
stabby.
All right,
Yeah.
I think that's enough silliness. Let's get the hell out of here because there is a lot of crap that I've got to edit all, and we've gone way over Kev's hard out. Sorry, Kev. So
Can we just take
thank
a
you
moment
for-
to appreciate how many guitars me and Kev have got between us.
I'm missing one as well. One of them's
How
upstairs.
manly we are.
that's at Rick's.
Yeah.
Nicked it when you weren't looking.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that in post. He's in the background just taking a guitar off your wall.
If we could pass it between windows here, that'd be pretty fun.
Thank
Just a
you
massive
for
Godzilla
listening
coming
or
in, stealing her guitar.
watching. Thank you for listening or watching
With his
BRB
little
UK
arms.
610.
Strumming away.
Make sure to check out the gaming cupboard. Keep talking, Tim, while I'm trying to talk.
Yeah.
Make sure to check out the gaming cupboard. Make sure to check out
The
VRB.
game cupboard,
virtual
Chris.
What did I say?
Gaming. You're making it harder for yourself by adding letters.
All right. Make sure to check out the sticky, dirty, sweaty love cupboard of the game cupboard with Rick. And also
Ricky's wank
VRB, Big Red Barrels, virtual reality podcast starring Tim and Kev.
It's never happening again, I'm afraid. We're just going to invade.
For this week's episode, I have been Coleman.
I might have been a chest bursted Tim.
I've been Kev.
I've been sweating my off.
That's
Because
the
you're
one.
inside Godzilla.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll check you out next week, dear listeners. And goodbye.
You and your ears are quite quite welcome. For the podcasting goodness that you just heard, why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
I'm glad
My second question, Tim, before
Yes?
you carry on.
You've already made me
I had
forget
two
something I was gonna
questions,
say
and you were
earlier, but yeah.
flagrantly disregarding my
Well, you
second
already
question.
made me not do. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Well, all right, no, I'm going to ask. This one's a relevant question, so strap in. All right,
Okay.
strap in, Tim. This is relevant.